For the women, that's okay. The men, get the hell out of here. Nobody told me, what is this for a panel?
This is a panel. It's a question and answer panel.
That way it's been a tough morning. Now I have to answer questions?
Absolutely.
All right. If you don't mind fallacious answers that are incorrect, that are just tossed off just to get rid of the question.
Is there anything you want to talk about before we start?
I've been behind a counter signing things for about 3 hours. They walked me here. I thought this was a rest zone. Nobody told me all these hostile faces would be facing. These angry-looking people. Oh man, this is going to be difficult.
I don't think anyone's terribly hostile. I mean, there's this woman here that didn't know to wax her up or
Oh, incidentally, I'd like all the women to sit in the front. The men can do it.
All right.
Let's get serious.
Let's get serious. All right. What is your question, sir?
Hi, my name is Christos. I think don't get enough credit for helping Star Wars become such a success with getting into a comic. I was wondering, what was the process of that? Did you talk to George Lucas or his people when you started Star Wars comics back in the 70s?
Did you talk to George Lucas about when you were doing these Star Wars comics back in the 70s?
No, George Lucas, he had such faith in me. He said, Stan, go ahead and do whatever you want. Actually, I hadn't met George Lucas at that point. I met him later on. And I'm mad at him. He never gave me credit for, what did he do, start something? But he's a great guy, and now he's part of the Disney Marvel family, so why isn't he here?
Well, you're saying
I hear George, he's very shy.
We only wanted the best.
Yeah, they always say, I'm the one they can spare. They send me all these things because they can get along without me. The other guys have to stay there and work. I don't mind. I like these things. I sit up here and I look at all these people who are waiting for me to say something worth listening to, and I can't think of anything to say. It's a very strange feeling.
Yes, young man.
What advice would you give someone that wants to go into the comic book business later on?
Well, there are other businesses you might try first. Now, the comic book business is more difficult now than when I was in it. Right now, the most talented writers in America are writing comics. The most talented artists are drawing comics, because they know there's a chance of whatever they do turning into a movie and will make them a lot of money. And I'm not trying to discourage you, but you've really got to be as good as the best in order to get into comics today. I don't know of any apprenticeship positions or jobs where you can learn while you're there. The editors, when they hire a writer or an artist, they look for a writer who's as good as the writers they already have, which means somebody who's a pro, who's been published, and the artists have to be at least as good as the artists they already have. So if you're as good as today's comic writers, and if you draw as well as the artists who are there now, knock on their door and say you're available, but otherwise, it just isn't easy. I don't know if I can get a job there today.
Good question.
What was your first comic?
What was your first comic?
I'm not sure I remember. I don't remember. When I first got into the business, I was hired by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, and I was really a gopher. I got their lunch, and I erased pages, and after a while they said, "Can you write?" What did I know? I said, "Sure, I can write." So they asked me to write a couple of pages of something, and after they gave me more and more to write, and before I knew it, I was writing a few scripts. I honestly do not remember. what those scripts were. They were very forgettable. 5 pages, 6 pages, I don't know. Then Simon and Kirby left the company, and there was no one else around, so they made me the editor. And I think maybe the first thing I wrote at that time was a Captain America story, but I'm not sure. It was so long ago, I don't remember. I'm sorry, I hate to frustrate you by not giving you an authentic answer. And we're going to look that up when we get out.
Absolutely.
Right, and we'll publish it somewhere so you can get the facts.
Good question. What inspired you to make Marvel?
Well, making Marvel is difficult to describe. I worked for a publisher named Martin Goodman, and at the time Marvel was made, he was the publisher. And we were called another company, I forget, Atlas, was it? Something like that. And when we started doing the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and those books, we realized we were getting a whole new audience. Suddenly our books were becoming real popular. So I said to Martin, my publisher, hey, we ought to change our name. And I forget what we were called before that. Doesn't matter. So we changed our name. The first book that Martin had ever published was called Marvel Mystery Comics. So I said, Marvel's a good word, let's do that. So we changed our name to Marvel. Oh, we were called Atlas Comics before that. And we call ourselves the Marvel Group. And it's great because I love advertising. And Marvel is a great word to use in advertisements. I came up with a lot of phrases like, make mine Marvel, and Marvel marches on, and welcome to the something of Marvel. I don't even remember. But you can use Marvel in so many ways, and I kept plugging the word until the readers probably got sick of it. But luckily they liked our stories, and lo, a legend was born. Very good. Very good. Yeah, very well. I'd like to send them a letter containing important advice. They are so foolish not to give me a cameo in their next Superman or Batman movie. Do you know how that would bring in the audience? I don't believe it. I gotta go see for myself. But, you know, they never were that far-seeing.
You've been in like every Marvel movie as a cameo. Do you have a cameo that you enjoy the most?
Oh, I love them all. I think I did miss 1 or 2 movies, though. Sometimes if they have a movie that they're shooting in Europe or Asia or somewhere, and I'm not able to travel there at that time, I think I missed an X-Men movie and one other, I forget. And it's terrible because I hate to do that to Marvel, because we all know a Marvel movie without my cameo is just a movie.